Welcome back to YogaSteady Studio, an original hot yoga podcast for hot yoga enthusiasts, devoted teachers, and lifelong learners, and anyone ready to trade the noise of the world for the steady rhythm of practice. I'm your host, Jennifer Rochelle. Today's episode is titled STFU. Yes, that STFU. But before you scroll away or brace for something aggressive, stay with me because this episode isn't about confrontation. It's about contemplation. It's about what happens when we stop talking about listening and actually listen. We'll begin with a pop culture moment. Sophie Powers' raw and arresting audition on American Idol, where she debuted an original song called STFU. It didn't take her to the next round, but it did something arguably more important and more powerful. It left the judges stunned, silent, and in awe of the message. We'll use her performance as a springboard to explore how silence is more than absence. It's a source of discernment, healing, clarity, and truth. We'll talk about the pressure to fill space in life and in teaching, why your yoga practice might be the only place you truly STFU, and how our constant engagement with static, news, opinions, influencers, commentary is drowning out the signal we most need to hear. So roll out your yoga mat, settle into the stillness, and let's get started. On March 17th, 2025, a young woman named Sophie Powers auditioned for American Idol with a song she wrote herself. 4 letters that instantly catch your attention, STFU. Now, before you scroll away or make a snap judgment about the language, pause for a moment. Sophie wasn't just being provocative. She stood there in front of 3 massive music industry icons and quietly offered a message. The lyrics didn't scream, they didn't whine, they were direct and almost subdued. She sang about tuning out the noise of the media, of influencers, of the wars we rage both in the world and in ourselves, about the way everything seems to demand our attention and our opinion, our reactivity. Right now, louder, faster, all the time. And yet Sophie's delivery was quiet, controlled, almost meditative, as if to say, if you want to truly hear something, first stop talking. It was one of those rare moments in pop culture where art, intention, and a deeper spiritual undertone meet right at the surface. The song was raw, emotional, and yes, a bit sharp-edged. There was a quiet aggression and some generational smugness in her tone, but the charm of her message outweighed this. Her request was one of silence, and I love it. And while she didn't make it to the next round, something about her message stayed with me because it mirrors something we experience in the yoga room all the time. The discomfort of silence, the pressure to fill every second with sound, the deep craving to just sit in something real, and the desire to tell all the static in the world to STFU so we can hear our own voice. So while this episode may feel like an idolizing of the profanity of Sophie Powers' message, it's really about listening to what her music is pointing to. And that pointer is ancient. It's yogic. It's sacred. In a world addicted to noise, silence is radical. And in a practice built on presence, silence and stillness is where the transformation actually begins. There's a moment in every original hot yoga class, right after Eagle Pose, when the teacher says 2 simple words, party time. And that's it. There's no official dialogue for this moment, no direction to recite, no lines to memorize, just party time. Drink your water, party over. Now, standing head to knee pose. That's all Bikram ever said. And yet this tiny break in the sequence has become a massive space for improvisation. Teachers, you know what I mean. There's a temptation that creeps in when there's no script. It feels like a blank page, a stage light, a microphone, waiting for someone to say something interesting. So we fill it. We explain hydration. We remind them about the misery of what poses next. We joke. We coach. We comment on the energy in the room. But maybe it's a good idea to consider that just because there's space doesn't mean it needs to be filled. I can't remember how many times I've nervously addressed some issue because I couldn't stand the sound of the static in my own head. What if party time was actually an invitation, not to speak, but to practice restraint, to let the silence do its job, to let students breathe? to let them reset without commentary, to let the heat say what we cannot. We spend so much of our lives, especially in teaching, trying to manage discomfort, keep things flowing, prevent the awkward pause. But in yoga, that awkward pause is the teacher, that moment of stillness in the lesson. And let's be clear, sometimes the most powerful thing we can say is nothing at all. So here's a thought. Next time you're in that party time moment, try saying less. Maybe even just say, party time. Drink your water. Okay, party over. And then just be there with them. No filler, no fuss, just presence. This past week, I had the joy of taking an online class taught by none other than my daughter, Theodora. Watching her step into the role of teacher, hearing her deliver the dialogue with strength, sweetness, and sincerity is one of the most meaningful experiences of my life. It wasn't just her command of the words, which was impressive, but the way she held space with her calmness, her sweetness, her kindness, and with care. She grew up immersed in this practice. She's seen its struggles, its beauty, its challenges, and she has chosen to offer the original hot yoga to others with her voice. So it is with immense pride and a full heart that I get to officially share that Theodora will be joining the YogaSteady online teaching roster this fall. She'll be leading classes and continuing to grow into her role as a teacher and mentor. To all the parents out there, I know you know what this means. And to all the students who will soon practice with her, you're in for a special treat. I'm so proud to be her mom. So let's bring it all together. We began talking about silence, about what happens when we stop contributing to the noise and we choose stillness over sound, presence over performance. Whether we're on our mat during party time, in the posture, or listening to a song like Sophie Powers' STFU, the invitation is the same. Pause, listen, let the moment land. In our hot yoga practice, there's no background music, no distractions, and ideally, no excess commentary, just breath, just heat, just you and the practice. And in those conditions, clarity has a chance to emerge. That's not silence as absence. That's silence as invitation, an invitation to discern what's true from what's just static. When we stop scrambling to say something, the most meaningful things start to surface. And sometimes the most profound transformations happen in the pauses between words, between poses, between thoughts. As you move through your practice and your life this week, I invite you to notice the moments where silence arises. Can you sit in them a little longer? Can you resist the urge to fill the space? Because the truth is, stillness isn't emptiness. And when we resist the urge to react, we make room for its possibilities. A quick note. This episode drops Monday, July 7th, 2025, and after this, I'll be stepping away from the mic for the rest of the month. It's time for me to enjoy my children and take in some of the world, practice in a few unexpected places, listen closely to what people are really talking about and what they're not saying. I'll be back in August, ready to share the stories that surfaced, some from the road, some from my practice, and some from the quiet corners in between. Because if there's one thing I've learned, everything is connected, and sometimes stepping back is what allows the bigger picture to reveal itself. Before we go, on June 28th, the latest class of original hot yoga teachers graduated. Their training was offered by KPC Life, the new organization now overseeing the original 9-week intensive Bikram yoga teacher training. In many traditions, a yoga teacher earns the title Yoga Siramani, a crown jewel among practitioners. This achievement has less to do with how the student teacher arrived at the distinction, and more to do with their esteemed dedication to the ongoing process of the achievement. I believe that no single path to becoming a yoga teacher makes someone more worthy. Whether you trained in person, online, or by some combination of both, whether you trained last week or 20 years ago, if you've done the work and you're doing the work to teach with care, consistency, and respect, then I honor you. And to all the new teachers out there, welcome to the fold. If you're ready to deepen your practice, maybe train to be a teacher, or you just want to study the philosophy behind the heat, you know where to find me And as always, I have included all the sources and resources in the show notes. Thanks for listening. I truly hope one day we get to meet in the hot room. Until then, stay steady, keep listening, and remember, lock your knee.